Okay, so I wanted to make this video about sauerkraut. So we start with a regular head of cabbage. Organic cabbage, of course, is the best. And then we're just going to chop it into small pieces. Now, the history of sauerkraut, or fermented cabbage, starts in this, recorded history in the 16th century. It was recorded the Germanic people made this to preserve the cabbage. There was no refrigeration. So the sugars in the cabbage from the salt turn it into lactic acid, and that preserves it. So basically we're going to chop this head of cabbage into small pieces. Just real thin slivers. Chop the whole head. Okay, before I mess up, I want to save a couple of the big leaves from the outside, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to remove a couple leaves. I like the purple cabbage better. There's more antioxidants. It's got this purple pigment that is the actual frequency of this purple pigment supposed to destroy or not allow cancer cells, and it's very healing. A lot of our heirloom vegetables, if you look back, heirloom vegetables used to be purple. So there was purple tomatoes, there was purple cucumbers, there was purple beans, there was purple squashes, all kind of purple things. And the purple pigment is very good. It seems that modern hybridization has bred out that purple pigment, and that was a mistake, you know. So we're going to chop, chop, chop till we get the entire cabbage chopped. Just put it in a big bowl. So this bowl is going to be mounded over. Okay, so now you can use regular salt if you want to, but I always use the pink salt, the Himalayan salt that has all the known minerals. So we got the pink salt here, and then the amount of pink salt that I use, I'm going to show you. This is what you do. I have a lot of cuts on my hands, so it's not going to feel too good with the burns, but you're going to fill your palm. So about that much pink salt. I'm gonna put it in the cabbage. And I'm gonna just mix it around and distribute it. I might add a little bit more because there's a lot of cabbage here. Another point that I wanted to add is before I did this, I sterilized my cutting board with bleach. You don't want to be cultivating any kind of bad bacteria or anything like that if you're going to ferment. So, a little bit more salt. A lot of salt. It's not going to be salty when we're done, and what's going to happen is this cabbage is going to release all of its water from the hydrogen molecules that's in the salt, and the hydrogen molecules that's in the cabbage is going to be released by the salt, sodium, and it's going to break down. So right now it's dry. There's no juice or anything like that. So I'm going to leave it sit here in this bowl. I'm going to cover it, of course, with like a plate. I'm going to leave it sit in that bowl for about an hour. Right on the countertop. Let it sit there for about an hour. And we're going to come back in an hour and check it out. And what you're going to see is it's going to be wet, and there's going to be a couple inches of liquid that's in the bottom of the bowl. Okay, and then we're going to go on to step number 2. Okay, it's been an hour, so we're going to continue with the sauerkraut. So basically, you need a jar, you need the sauerkraut that we chopped already earlier, and that's it. So what I was talking about is now the cabbage has released a lot of water, and there's a lot of juice in here. Let me show you. Let's see. Oops. So there's a lot of liquid in there. So that's not water. That's not added water. That's liquid from the cabbage. So now we're going to take the cabbage. We're going to pack this jar. We're going to pack it down. I'm going to tamp it really good. We don't want any air pockets or spaces, because this is going to be literally covered in its own juice. So that whole bowl of cabbage, I'm going to pack it down, and it's not even going to be a half a jar when I'm done with it. You know how big that cabbage was. This whole bowl was mounded. Make sure you wash your hands really good with soap and water before you do this, and the jar, so you don't transfer any bad bacteria, because it'll grow in here and it'll ruin your cabbage. So I'm going to take all the juice that was in there, all the rest of the cabbage. Okay. Like that. I'm going to pack it down really well. Smush it. They make a sauerkraut tamper, but you really don't need it. You can use your fingers. Your fingers will turn purple for the next few days because of the... Alright. So, now, if you can see closely, you're going to see that there's liquid. See the liquid? It's literally covering the cabbage. See that liquid is going over my fingers. Really good. It's all submerged now. I want all the little pieces to be submerged. Because this is a brine solution. This brine solution is going to keep your cabbage very healthy. Alright, so got it all covered like that nicely. Then, remember those cabbage leaves that I held back? So we have these cabbage leaves that I had saved and I didn't chop up. So now these cabbage leaves, I'm going to tear them about the size of the jar hole, cover it. They're going to sit on top of that brine solution, kind of seal it up a little bit. We're going to throw these away in the end, but for right now they're going to serve a purpose. Alright, so they're like this. They're just sitting on top like that. You smush them down. The cabbage is protected by that liquid. And then I'm going to take a nice clean paper towel, put it over the top, and secure it with the rubber band. Look at my hands are now purple. So that's going to be secured, and that's going to sit on the counter like this. I usually put a dark dish towel over it to keep the sunlight out of it. So that's going to sit there for about, in this temperature, about 4 or 5 days. And I'm going to taste it, and it's not ready yet, but it'll be fermenting. And you should not see any funny things on it, like nothing green, nothing furry, and it should smell strong. When you taste it, it tastes very good, and it tastes tangy. We're going to monitor it. So in a couple days, check back and we'll see the finished product. The whole process, I like to ferment my cabbage about 7 or 8 days for the first tasting, and then it's ready to eat. And after about 10 days, I put it in the refrigerator. I put it in the refrigerator and with the lid on it, and it stays fresh. So, but for now, it's just going to be room temperature because we do want it to ferment and we want it to be warm. The warmer it is, the faster it's going to ferment. All right, so thanks again for watching, and I hope that you have good success with your ferments. Have a great day. Thanks for watching and subscribe.